Okay, so we have a bunch of people online with us tonight. So again, just a reminder, if you have questions, type them into the Q&A, and if you have comments or issues or whatever, you can put those into the chat. And now that we've had our fun and done our introductions, I'm going to turn it over to our guests, and Cody is going to share his screen and get started with some slides, and we will hit the ground running.
All right, we'll jump right into this thing. Welcome, everybody. We're super happy to be here and to share some of our insights, unique insights specifically. Title is Overlooked Strategies that Ensure the Successful Implementation of Innovative Services and or Products. Something that we really pride ourselves on at Lexington Podiatry and Toe Tactics as a whole is our ability to effectively integrate, implement new services, innovations across the industry. We're always kind of pushing the bounds, and something that we pride ourselves on as a above average conversion rate into successful implementation of new cool things. So we decided it would be a great opportunity for us to share some of our thoughts and ideas and practices, so hopefully others can take this away. Happy to share the virtual stage with the two lovely ladies here, to know better, to learn from, and to be on the stage with. Obviously, I'm not going to go into details because we just got those bios, but we're here anyways. Agenda for tonight. We're going to kick things off by talking about designing success. How can we set ourselves up for success and eliminate those uncertainties is really the idea there. Adopting without pause. Implementing these strategies, implementing these protocols, procedures that ensures that you don't have that slow speed bump, that hiccup to successful implementation. There's no loss of revenue. You can come right out square one and hit the ground running. And then last but not least, stability via structure. So often do we implement these new services, new practices, and we have all the hype and we're so excited about it, and then it falls to the wayside and we forget. We either forget to track and measure our success, or we forget our training, and the success ratio or conversion ratios go down because it's not that new bright and shiny thing anymore. We don't really care about it. We're moving on. So that's what we're gonna chat through. Kicking things off first, you got to listen to me for a little bit longer, so apologies. But again, if people know me, you buckle up. We're going to start talking formulas right out of the gate. Designing success, part one, is all about knowing where you are. To determine where you want to be and determine what success looks like to you, you need to understand where you are and what success could be. So I like to break it down into two different areas. You are determining your opportunity cost and your trade-off value. Opportunity cost is obviously the amount of money or the amount of value that you bring in by bringing in a new service. If I bring in ToeFX, then I know that I'm going to be have the opportunity to bring in this additional value, additional revenue. A trade-off, on the other hand, is the amount of revenue or amount of service offerings that you're losing out on by bringing in that new service. It's a double-edged sword. So the first area is to identify your opportunity cost. How much revenue are you anticipating to bring in? Because you need to make sure that it's worth it, right? Again, the idea is to determine, is it worth it for you to do this before you bring that service on, before you even consider the negotiation, before you start talking numbers. Do I have the patient base to justify this specific service? If it's ToeFX as an example, I know I need to have X number of fungal patients that meet that ideal target ICD. Can I bring in that amount of patients to justify it? There's a nice little conversion rate that you should consider. If it's a medically necessary service or product, then you would expect a 50 to 70% conversion rate for those ideal target ICDs, those patients that have those target ICDs. Wellness elective, 20 to 40%, 30 to 50% for your total clinic value. That's really where you want to sit. It's right in that happy medium. So that's your opportunity cost. That's your revenue. Your trade-off that you need to be considering is your current offerings. What are you going to cannibalize? If you're bringing in ToeFX, I'm going to use a lot of real life examples here because we have the luxury of having ToeFX here. So I definitely want to use that as an opportunity. If you're bringing on ToeFX, but you currently have a Remy laser who also you're using to fight fungus in a different modality, but you're still fighting fungus with it, you're potentially going to lose out on some of that business by cannibalizing your current fungus treatment ancillary service. You need to know that, need to consider it. And then space utilization. We all think that cash is king right now and that we want to bring in these new ancillary services, but have you really considered what the value of that room is? If you were, how much are you bringing in for an insurance-based patient with your operating cost applied that's taking up that room? If now you dissolve that room all day and are bringing in just this new ancillary line that's only 50% full, are you losing money on that room? It's room utilization. Always consider that whenever you're bringing on something, especially service-based. So this is stage one, step one of creating your master formula here. This is what I'm leading into. Part two of designing success is, again, have you done your homework? We know you know your opportunity costs, you know your trade-off values, but what's your overhead look like? Have you really considered what your initial investment looks like? Do you have any loans or payoff goals for buying this new service? You know, the shockwave systems are expensive. I just did a whole negotiation thing and I was blown away, floored by the amount of money these things cost. So have you really thought about that? I mean, how much is your interest rate on this? And if there's any kind of additional cost that goes into your growth strategies, the more you do, the more it costs, which is with most of these ancillary services that we bring on, what does that growth look like? It's an exponential growth that you even need to consider your maintenance costs too. If it's a high value equipment, high value machine that you lose your warranty within 2 years, and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to ship it back to Germany to be worked on, that may not be worth your time. That may be something that you're not able to pay off within the allotted time to be able to justify that high value shipment back. So those kinds of redundancies need to be considered whenever you're onboarding a new service too. It's that back end operating cost that we often overlook. It's the second part of your formula. All right, example time. Because like I said, we are lucky enough to have TOFX here, and so we might as well throw in some real life examples, some real life numbers. We have TOFX in our clinic. We've had it for about 2 months now, I think. So we're still pretty fresh. But I will say these are numbers from our clinic. We're done very well with it, and we anticipate to continue to do very well with it. So the first start is you got to understand what your numbers are. What are you trying to capture here? So the call outs first before I go into the target demographics and anticipated converted patients. For transparency's sake, or just for ease, let's consider that 20 to 40% of patients that walk through a podiatry practice in the United States have nail fungus. That's about your industry average. If you want to take it to the next level, you can run your ICDs and figure out who has fungus within your clinic. How many people are you diagnosing? What I've found is that it's often pretty close to that 40%. But we're new numbers to get your specific number. And then also TOFX has a 2 sessions per patient per month ratio. Those are 2 big numbers we need to consider. But what we're going to try and find is our target demographic of how many patients do we anticipate to see, and that TCV is your target. Gosh, I got my notes written down. I got to remember what my stuff it means. It's your total patient value, which you're trying to bring in. That's how many patients you anticipate to see within the month. And then you're going to multiply that by the percentage that you anticipate to convert upon, or how many have the target ICD, I'm sorry. Then you're going to do your target demographic by your percentage of conversion, 40%, to get your forecasted revenue. Then you're tying to your operating costs to get your estimated charge per visit, your estimated your value at the end of the year. That slide's a little confusing. This one's better. So we're going to work out this step by step. So again, using TOFX as the example, Our revenue per month is what you want to obtain first. These formulas are put in for your sake of Excel, by the way. You put an equal sign in front of these and it's going to spit out the number that you want. I wanted to do it that way so you could take a picture of this, plug it into Excel, and type in your numbers of whatever service you want, whatever makes sense to you, so you can reuse this formula. So first step is to understand your revenue per month. Dr. Carter sees about 400 patients per month. That's what she aims for, what we go for, sometimes more, sometimes less, but it's a good roundabout number. I expect 33% of those patients that walk through the door to have nail fungus, to be a candidate for TOEFX. So that's going to come up with our anticipated goal patients, which is 53. You multiply that by your conversion rate, 40% is right at the top end of that elective goal. It's not necessarily medically necessary, but that's a good target for something that is more elective and wellness focused. Multiply that by your cost per visit, which for us is $150. Then by the time, however many sessions you have within the month. So again, 2 sessions per patient per month. That's going to get your monthly profit or your monthly revenue, which is going to come out to be about $15,000 to $16,000. And that's, you see that at the bottom there, profit with payoff. Because what we did too, to come up with this 7,120 was we come up on the operating cost per month. And I know we're going to see 53 patients. It costs about $20 per application for the TOEFX nail serum that they provide, and is awesome, by the way. Times that by 2 to get your applications of how much you have. So about 106 times 20 plus 5,000 investment on the service gets you $7,120 per month. So even in your first month, I anticipate you to bring in just about $16,000 if you hit it right. About $7,000 in your operating costs / payoff. It's $5,000. You're still netting $8,700 in profit. Now we're not considering the staffing and the room and all of that good stuff. But as far as just cost of goods and your payoff value goes, you're still netting $8,700 in that first month, which is what we did. And it was pretty easy, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. When I looked at our numbers, I was pleasantly surprised. Dr. Carter was there when I found it. So let's annualize it. So your estimated annual revenue is about 190 grand minus your annual operating cost at 30 grand, and that includes that 5,000 payoff. So you're netting about $160,000 just within your first year. And later, I'm going to talk about why that number is lower than what you should expect. That is just the baseline number without doing any marketing. That's easy money. So designing success is doing the math on the front end to understand what are you bringing in, and does this service bring value? Can I turn a profit on this? Do I already have the patients in line to be successful within it? And what does the success look like? Is that $160,000 worth it to me? And you apply the same principle, same mindset to any service or product that you have, and you'll be able to come up with your value. All right, I'm done with my portion.
So that's where I come in. Part 1 of adopting without pause is confidence. As the physician in the room, when a patient comes in and I'm considering a new service or product such as TOEFX, I have to be 100% confident in the fact that it's going to work, in the fact that I know how to present it, and I know how to talk about it. Patients ask all kinds of questions, and if I seem kind of wishy-washy about it, they're not going to believe me. So I need to either have a resource that I can look to very quickly, have a guide, have a sheet that kind of shows the things that we're talking about, or I just need to know it. Another part of this is getting your hands wet, putting the product on, painting Cody's toenails blue with that cute little solution from ToeFX. Like, I want to see how it works in real time. I want to know that his toenails stayed blue for 2 weeks, or it didn't scrub off with soap and water, and acetone nail polish remover works. So, all of the little things that patients may ask or encounter after they get home, that's what I want to know before we even roll this product out. I want to try to be on top of it and be able to answer anything that's thrown my way, so that way I seem super, super confident. Next slide, please, sir. Now I'll turn it over to Dr. Vanham.
So I'm gonna layer up a little bit. The reason why we plugged in Dr. Vanham in the ToeFX system here is because the step 2 in creating adoption without paws is having a product or service that you can really stand behind. It's something that is FDA approved, that is scientifically backed, that has a support system that you can rely on and lean on as a practitioner. It's what you shoot for. You need to have that support system that you can lean back to. So that's why we've partnered with ToeFX and believe in the product so heavily. So there's the layup.
Thanks. So here in the picture, you can see myself and my business partner, Dr. Monica Yazdanian. So together we lead the company. She's a physicist. She's the CEO. We developed, thanks Cody for the introduction. Yes, we developed ToeFX in such a way that every claim that we have, similar to what Dr. Carter said, it's we need to believe in it. So it's backed up by science, the efficacy, the reasoning behind the protocol, everything that we are saying, we can prove it, why we determined that it will be that way. Another thing, we wanted the system and the application to be simple, so that it can be used by clinical admin, or we didn't want it to be used only administered by a podiatrist. We wanted it to be, relatively speaking, simple. So ToeFX is FDA cleared, and it's the only LED-based therapy exists for treatment of onychomycosis. So it's really important because it's not a laser, it's a very strong light, but the mode of action is not thermal. So it's different mode of action, and it's very nice and convenient for the patient. It's applied in a clinic, not at home. So the patients can do things at home, but we are not relying on them for compliance. So if the clinician is deciding to combine it with topicals, yes, by all means, but the clinical studies that we did was ToeFX solo. It requires only 5 to 10 minutes of the clinician time. The rest is very simple and can be done by other staff in the clinic. And yes, next slide. As I said, it's backed up by science. We did 3 steps. First is in vitro. So we studied the system on cells, Trichophytum rubrum. We modified many parameters, the dose, the concentration, the length, the exposure time, many things. And then when we were convinced, we took cadaverous nails, we infected them with fungus, and we treated them, and we wanted to see the penetration of the formula and things like that. And then we did a clinical study. So the clinical study was in few locations. It was 3 years. We looked at 165 mostly severe cases of onychomycosis, and the efficacy was found to be 73%. not only that, so I'm really proud to say that we got accepted to just recently to the Journal of the APMA. The results are going to be published. We're hoping now, but I think they said early next year. But we have the copy of the study. Next, please. So this is the mode of action. So actually, it's called photodynamic therapy or photodisinfection. And what we did, photodisinfection exists forever. It exists in nature. The sun actually does lots of photodisinfection. And also it exists in the last 50 years in medicine, in other modalities, in dentistry, cancer treatment, other things. So basically we took the knowledge and science and modified it to work for onychomycosis. Mainly we overcome the penetration, so we wanted to treat the nail bed. So it's a combination of two elements, a formula, a blue formula, and a light. So both have a very good ability to penetrate through the nail plate into the nail bed. The mode of action is very cool. So you file down the nails, apply the blue formula, wait for a couple of minutes, and then shine the light. So the light through the blue formula. So the blue formula is like an enhancer. It's like the gel of the ultrasound. It's taking readily available oxygen and convert it to reactive oxygen within the cell. So it's very specific. It doesn't do anything to normal cells. And it's basically the ROS, reactive oxygen, destroy the fungus. Like what we see here. Actually, I'm moving my mouse, but you don't see it. So next slide. So TOFX is an alternative, a good alternative, but it's an option to other treatments that can be offered to patients. I'm sure that you are all aware of them. There are more. Most podiatrists, they use topicals, but terbinafine, for example, what are your actually alternative if a patient can't or wouldn't? Some patients do not want to take oral. So what are your options? The options are not so great because lasers and for example, Jublia are not designed to treat severe cases. So TOFX is a very good option to treat moderate to severe onychomycosis cases because it's a combination of two elements, the formula and the light. Also, the cost is much more attractive, for example, than Jublia. And not to talk about lasers. The upfront cost of laser is few tens of thousands of dollars. I think the lowest that I saw is $23,000. Next.
Something else before you move on to that, because you and I talked earlier, and I thought you had a really good
Yes.
point about laser.
Sure.
The inconsistency that you run into laser, I didn't consider this, but when you have somebody that is not, highly trained, specialized in it, I mean, how far away you are from the nail, how quick you move back and forth, they all have different settings depending if you're the right setting, if you don't have your pre-settings on. There's just so much inconsistency when it comes to laser specifically. If it's in the right hands, then it could be really impactful, of course, but the TOFX kind of eliminates that risk, which I thought was an interesting point.
Thanks, Cody. I forgot that we talked about it. Also, lasers, especially the pinpoint laser. So you need to go through the nail plate, and it's super hard you can't stay in one spot for too long because the patient will hate you forever. And also, it's almost impossible to eradicate all the fungus that it's there because the way it's designed. With TOFX, the patient just sit under the light, so it treats all 5 toenails at once, as opposed to laser, it's toe by toe. Also lasers, because it's heat, it's 555 Celsius, something like that. It's destroying also normal tissues. This is why it's so painful. And TOFX is predominantly, the formula predominantly adheres to the infection, and it withdraws the energy of the light straight into the infection. So the healthy tissue remains untouched. So it's pretty cool.
Super neat. All right, Dr. Carter, I think you muted
All
yourself,
right,
unmuted. Right.
sorry, that's me again. Okay, so that's the science behind it, and with results like that, it's really hard not to get behind it. When I talk to my patients, I love the fact that I can say to them, this is the first time we've had clinical data supporting the fact that it can clear the fungal infection. So I think that helps significantly on being able to convert on those percent of cases like Cody talked about earlier. So that's the second part, is having the science behind it. Part 3 is your internal structure for success. This is something that I think a lot of people don't consider. It's not just, do I believe in the product and do I think I can sell it or dispense it, but there's other things in your office that you have to consider. So before you roll it out, you've got to make sure that not only are you competent, but your entire staff is. You have to train all the providers in your office. You have to make sure the medical assistants know how to set it up, know how to clean it, know how to answer questions to the patients, because we know the medical assistants are in the room with the patient way more than the providers are. Even down to your patient experience team. If you do your marketing correctly, then they're going to get questions about it, and they're going to have baseline knowledge and be able to answer those questions. You have to look at your EMR system, and you need to be able to provide Cody or your equivalent with the numbers that he needs. So, making sure it has the capabilities to track it the way that you want it, being able to set it up in one category versus the next, that way it pulls appropriately. And also how you're going to template it out. Obviously, EMR has made our lives so much simpler because of templates. So you have to figure out how that's going to be set up before you start doing these. Maintenance schedules, there's some machines that need cleaned once a month, and there are maintenance plans that you may have to pay for, and you need to have someone to perform the maintenance. You've got to have an inventory system. Like in the case of TOFX, once we have the light boxes, that's great, but you don't want to have a patient scheduled and all of a sudden realize that you're out of the formula that you applied to the nails. So you've got to make sure to have a really good inventory system in place. That way you don't run out. And some products, more so than others, take up a lot of space. We had an MLS laser and it was huge. We had 2 of them actually, and ran out of space to store them in. So you've got to make sure that you have somewhere neat and concise to keep the products or services that you're going to implement to. So I feel like these are things that people don't always consider when they see a bright, shiny new thing, a new toy. They just want to get it and go with it before stopping to think about all these different categories and will it fit into your office and your practice.
2 points to add. One, we had 7 lasers at one point.
I wasn't going to tell that.
Yeah, that's when I came on, 7 lasers. And I said, okay, what's our capacity? How much are we? What's our utilization rate? We're like, we're about a 30%. What are we doing? What? So that is a clear sign of us looking and saying, yeah, I can pay that off in no time, easy. And they did. The providers did pay it off, but there wasn't a sustainable revenue source coming in to justify keeping that service on board. So that's part of what I was talking about. What I wanted to chime in about, though, was while EMR integration is super important, and of course tracking how much you're actually bringing in and who's bringing it in is very important, but something that we find really valuable is our conversion analysis. We have I call it a smart care slip or a smart super bill, whatever you want to call it, but under which we have little categories that it comes up with it spits out an estimate out of pocket for the patient at the very bottom. Provider /MA selects TOFX and all the insurance-based stuff, combines it all together, applies co-insurance to patient-specific fee schedule, and spits out whatever number that they are estimated to owe at the end. But within that, it also details who was the DME person that went in and made the final recommendation for the product, service, whatever. Obviously, the provider is making the treatment plan and talking about it in the room, but our process, we have a DME person that comes in after the fact. And what we found is that our conversion rates vary from provider to provider and from DME person to DME person. So it's super helpful to be able to look back and see, well, Alexis has a 20% conversion rate on TOFX, while Lakin has a 80% conversion rate. What's Lakin saying that's different from Alexis? Where's the training disconnect? What do we need to go back and talk to this person about? With that knowledge, we're able to really standardize our training across the board and ensure the best of the best, as those Lakins that are super good at converting on certain products are able to train those that are not so good, to make it more consistent. And so that's one recommendation. Find a way to track that. That's a game changer. All right. I think this is our last slide as far as specific integration tactics, but no, this is our second to last. Sorry, Dr. Carter, this is still you. I got ahead of myself. I'm excited to talk about the last one.
I can tell. That's okay. So sustaining the product, once you've gotten it there, it's really hard to kind of forget about it. And until you do a webinar or you go to a conference or you meet with some podiatry friends, you kind of forget things that you have in your back pocket. So make sure that not only do you do the initial onboarding and training, you recruit people like Dr. Van Ham to help you to provide that. Cody, remind me what SME stands for.
Subject matter expert.
Yes, a subject matter expert like Dr. Van Ham. Learn from the best of the best. Let your Lakins teach everybody else and make sure that you continue that training. You can't just train them once and let them go. You have to constantly upgrade them and figure out what everyone's saying. Even from the provider standpoint, Dr. Nicole Frills, who's my business partner, we meet at least once a month and we constantly go over our verbiage in the rooms, what we say, what we feel like is working, what we think buzzwords are, and how people are attaching to those words or really jumping on them. So making sure that you have a process in place for not only training every new hire that comes in, but also the retraining of your current staff. Let them teach each other. All right, it's you.
Another cool little tidbit, we didn't put it on here, but we implemented a program that we call a walk a mile program. It's within your first week, you get to go around and spend time with everybody within the clinic, whether it's each department, I should say. Part of that is getting to see all of those ancillary services in action, because we want to make sure that you understand really what does it look like to paint your toenails blue and how long does it take for it to truly dry. I want you to see the success within that treatment plan to make sure that part of your training is you see the success and you see the importance of that service. Getting that early on adoption of what does the bones of the clinic look like and what's important to our dispensement and what makes us is important. If they don't understand that TOFX is our go-to resource for all things toe fungus, then they're not going to be successful in their onboarding. They need to know that it's important to the overall treatment plan. Walk a mile program. I'm happy to share our outline for that too. All right. Last but not least, sustainability via structure, marketing with a purpose. There are 3 different pathways for marketing a new service or a new product. All that we've talked about thus far, all that I mentioned within the formula is your anticipated and scheduled patients. It's really where you want to start without spending marketing money and going out and spaghettiing against the wall and trying to capture this new patient demographic. Or expanding your current patient demographic that you have, you want to look internally. What can I do tomorrow to be successful and to flip a switch and get profitable in this new service or product. So the way that you're successful in that is, number one, protocol building. Do exactly what Dr. Carter and Dr. Frills do. They sit down every month, like she said, and go over what are their protocols per ICD, what do they agree upon that they're going to do together, what's the verbiage to be successful in that, and prove it. Where I sit down and I also give them the conversion rates and say, you're better at this than she is, talk about why. In-office marketing, the 7 times rule, if you're familiar with any marketing really at all, it takes a patient 7 times on average to see a product or service for them to hook, line, and sinker and jump on board to agree to it. I feel like that's a little less. It's a little less in the medical practice because they're already on board with you. You're a doctor, you're a provider, you're a trusted resource. They're gonna most of the time lean to what you have to say, especially if you're confident in it. But that 7 times rule is a good idea. As an example, we have brochures, we have patient education resources, flyers all over the place. We have our screens and monitors in the room that have services that are rotating in and out, everything that we can think of. We educate the patient. Next is existing patients without an appointment. Never underestimate the power of a recall program, a newsletter. You bring on a new service, the best thing you can do is build up that newsletter platform. I think we've got over 10,000 people in ours that are actively engaged with the newsletter. Anytime we bring on a new product or service, we're sending out a notification. Guess what we got? Guess what new, bright, shiny, cool thing we have? I don't recommend at all, because it's illegal, to target ICD specifically. But if you have a patient base of 10,000 or a newsletter base of 10,000 people, you're going to get a good chunk of those patients brought in. Same with social media. If you're big at all on social media, or if you are trying to grow in that area, you should definitely highlight your services. Something that we like to get is our staff engaged, and they'll be part of the post, and we tag them in it so they get their friends and family engaging with it and looking at it. They'll reshare it because they think that it's fun and cool. We do fun little games and skits and stuff that highlight some of the new services and products. Be fun with it. Be loose and engaging. Last but not least is the new patients for the specific service. Obviously, if you have those nail fungus patients and you want to bring that up to 50% of your patients walk through the door, how are you going to get that extra 15%? The 3 biggest ways that I like to tackle it is referral marketing, referral networking, with your existing and with new, going out and knocking on doors. That type of marketing is back. I died there for a long time, especially with COVID. Nobody went knocking on doors and shaking hands and meeting anybody anymore, but I'm telling you, it is back. As medical professionals, appreciate another provider walking in the door and talking about what do they do differently and how they want to partner and connect and be a resource to one another. That's one of our best colleagues came from exactly that. SEO, if you're not writing blogs now, please do so. Organic material added to the back end of your website is gold, as good as gold. Avoid regenerative medicine, avoid the holistic verbiage, because that will bring down your Google score. But if you can add in new service that helps tackle XYZ, especially if it's a service that's FDA certified, FDA approved, that only helps boost your SEO and puts you on the front of the list anytime somebody is researching some kind of a solution to a problem that you've just resolved. And then ads. Obviously, Meta ads, Google ads, there's 10,000 different ads to be had out there. I personally am not a huge believer in them. I don't remember the last time that I ever clicked on a Google ad. First time I see somebody come up with a sponsored ad and when I search for something, I skip over it on purpose because I think you can't buy my business. But some people do. It depends on your area. If you're one of those that's done your due diligence and you know that you were successful in Google ads, this could be a good opportunity, could be a good platform. Same with Meta. If you're big in Meta, then absolutely. I feel like Meta ads are more successful than Google ads nowadays. Somebody else within our group is trying out Groupon now. I'm interested to see what the success rates look like for that. So do your due diligence first on ads, but it's definitely an avenue for bringing in those new patients. I think that is all of the integration implementation strategies that we had from Toe Tactics, but I think we wanted to turn it back over to Dr. Branham, talk a little bit about the integration tactics specifically for ToeFX. And then we'll have some time for Q&A. I think we got a few in there.
Yes, which I really like the part of the Q&A. So just to summarize what we talked about, again, we designed ToeFX as a complete clinician toolbox for moderate to severe onychomycosis. Actually, we like to describe ourselves as end-to-end business unit for onychomycosis because we also have diagnostics. So it's from diagnostics to treatment to maintenance. So you can also use ToeFX to maintenance. We did another study that showed that if you continue to treat the patient after so the protocol is 10 sessions. So after 10 sessions, you can continue treating the patients every 6 weeks or so, just to avoid relapse. So the relapse rates really dropped if you continue to do that. So we designed ToeFX to be cost effective. It's very affordable. It's a very good alternative to other modalities. We talked about it before. It's powerful in science, so we have science to back up what we are saying. And it's very easy to implement in practice. We have not only that it's easy to implement, we also have online training. So clinics that purchase our technology, we give them access to our online training. We have level 1 and level 2. And not only that, I also have a degree in teaching. Anyways, we love to support our clinician. So anytime that there is a question or if someone needs one-on-one training with a team member, by all means, we always do it. We try within 24 hours. So it's a passion of ours.
The training is awesome, by the way. I would say
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I get the reports weekly where staff's out on the training. It's something that you don't see a lot in this type of ancillary service, so it's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it's the second. Yeah, it took us a long time to put it together, but I think it's pretty good. So also we designed ToeFX to be set and forget, painless and affordable. So basically, you file down the nails, apply this formula that you see on the bottom. It comes in a package of 10 applications. So you basically open the pen, apply it in all 5 toes. So we always recommend that even if 1 or 2 toenails are infected, to treat all 5. And then the patient sit under the light. It's a dual wavelengths, so they sitting under the light for 12 minutes, and then they just go home. Very, very easy. Yeah, so here you can find our study of the Journal of the American Podiatry Medical Association. It was accepted last month. We looked at 165 severe cases of onychomycosis, and the efficacy is 73%. Yeah, you are welcome to send us an email, and we can send you the copy of the paper. So here it's the protocol. So basically, you prepare the toe. You can see very straightforward. Prepare the toe by extensive debridement. Mainly, you need to pay attention to the proximal corners with a very small burr. I'm not sure what's your experience, but those areas are very persistent. The fungus really like to reside there. So to help the efficacy by eliminate the fungus load and keratin loads really help. It's really helpful. So prepare the toe, paint the formula, wait for 5 minutes for it to penetrate, and by that you will see, yes, the all nail plate stain blue, but the infected area are darker blue. And when the patient will come back 2 weeks later, those infected area will still be blue, and you can use it also as a marker to let you know where to file down more. And also the patient, if Dr. Carter talked about communication, so when the patient understands the importance of the formula and how it works, and also that they can use it for marker for progress. So when they come back to the clinic, they see, oh, wow, the proximal edge is clear. So it's meaning that there is some progress. So it very helps them a lot to see the progress. And then the patient sit under the light for 12 minutes and go home. So yeah, the formula called fungal blue. And on the left-hand side, you can see an infected nail. It's confirmed to be onychomycosis. It was Tachyphytum rubrum, dermatophytes. And on the right-hand side, you can see how it looks 2 weeks later. So you can see that the marker adhered or stick predominantly to the infection, and the rest of the nail plate is basically cleared. Yes, thanks. Next. So I wanted just before we move to the Q&A, just to show you some clinical data. So this is a picture that was taken from our partner clinic. So you can see that the nail is total dystrophic. It was not detached to the nail bed, and the clinician decided to apply the formula through the lateral corner here. So basically he saw how it penetrated to the matrix. And on the next slide, you can see how it looks after a couple of months. So here, this is how it looks after 8 months. You can see that the distal edge is still blue, not because there is a fungus there, it's just because that the formula likes to adhere to the crevices, but it will wash away over time. And here there are 2 other examples. Here the clinician opened a crevices, so he dug into the proximal corner and basically helped the formula to penetrate. And on the next slide, you can see how it's after, you can see a really nice progress. So those corners are sometimes harder to treat. And again, this is this area probably had biofilm because it's patches. And on the next slide, you can see how it looks after, I think it's 2 months. So new nail coming in. This is a typical course of 10 sessions. So T is for the treatment, and the number beside it is for the treatment number. So T0 and T1 is basically the same. Here on T0, we basically took a sample and sent it to the lab for diagnostics, and then the patient came in for treatment. T2 is after 1 session, so you can see the debridement. You can see very nicely how the formula stained the infection and how it progressed over time. So you can see that a new nail, a healthy nail plate came in. And on T6, for example, you can see how the corners are still blue. It will tell you that there is still fungus there, and you should debride a bit more and pay attention to those areas. And in T10, you can see after 5 months a very nice progress. Again, the distal edge are still blue because this is the way it is. It will wash away over time. Just more practical. So we offer 2 bundles. The middle one is the very popular one. So we offer 2 lights, 1 package of a formula, which is 10 sessions, and a training. And this allows you to treat all 10 toes at once or 2 patients in parallel. After in few days, we'll send you the offer. We have a promotion for this webinar. So you have an option to get a 2 light bundle or 1 light bundle, but the middle one is most clinicians are taking that, 99%. And here you have my email, my cell phone number. I'm always happy to get texts. You can text me up until 11 p.m. EST. I will try to respond, but feel free to use this by all means.
That's late. Same for the toe tactics. If you want to get hold of us, here's QR code to get in touch with any of us for whatever you may need. And then I think the last thing, as new partners within this initiative, this endeavor, if you purchase ToeFX from this webinar or in the future, then you get a free sponsored month with our ToeFX paid platform or Toe Tactics paid platform, under which you get one-on-one consultations, 30 minutes a month, webinars for a small group, practice space, collaboration space, resources, all the good stuff. It's kind of a new little pilot service that we've kicked off, and ToeFX has been super nice and awesome for sponsoring new folks to come in, and we will teach you how to implement that and whatever else you need implemented.
Of course, it's a great program.
And I think we're done.
Yes.
That's awesome. You guys did great. Before you stop sharing your screen, there was a question related to your slide in the beginning that had all the formulas. So can you go back to that one?
Okay.
Here we go. All right. So the question is that they had a different number than you did at the end. So is your math wrong or is their math wrong?
It's a good question. She's gonna say my math's wrong. What I am betting, what most of the time happens, is that there's probably a parentheses that's off somewhere in either mine or in theirs. Whomever it is here, let me put my.
Yeah, you've got a lot of parentheses here. I'm teaching my son order of operations right now, and so this is fresh in my head.
Yeah, I love parentheses in Excel.
Cody, I think what's confusing is maybe the $5,000 that it's one off, but maybe this is what I think.
Yeah, it could be. So whoever wants this formula, I have it in an Excel workbook, like where I made all of this. I am happy to send that workbook over to whomever. Just email me and I'll give it to you. I probably copy and pasted something wrong. So
That's funny.
that it should be in there. Just shoot me an email and I'll forward it on.
So while Cody is experiencing self-shame related to math problems, we'll go ahead with the rest of our questions. So how do you explain to patients the LED light sold on Amazon for toenail fungus is not the same as the ToeFX light?
Good question. So I mentioned the LED because it just to differentiate it from laser. Basically what we did, it's a very unique wavelength that you are not going to find on Amazon. It's a very specific wavelength that works with the formula. Also, there are very unique lenses that makes the energy of the light very focused. Also the shape of the light and the dose and the distance from the toes. So it's all designed to work with the formula and to get good results. So it's very different. And also, TOFX is FDA cleared for the treatment of onychomycosis. Also, it has 3 fans because the lights are super, super strong. The 3 vents circulate the air, so the patient will feel really nice underneath and not going to feel any heat.
So, Dr. Carter, you being the practicing physician, have you been met with this objection about lights on Amazon, or can I just use my gel nail polish light or anything like that?
Everybody always has an alternative and they always want something cheaper. I think my medical assistants probably get the question a little bit more, and so I'll have to make sure that I talk with them to relay the information from Dr. Vanham. I've been pretty good so far to tell them that it is FDA cleared, and that it is specifically formulated to target the fungus, working in conjunction with the blue formula. So I think that helps to negate a couple of those questions, but I'm certain that it's out there and that the medical assistants are getting it.
Yeah, and correct me if it's the blue light and the red light, one for more deeper tissue and then one for more
Correct.
more
Yeah.
external approach. So obviously your LED lights are not going to attack both your deep tissue and your surface level
Correct. Yeah.
fungal. So I don't know anything about anything, and I know that it is better.
So can the TOFX also treat interdigital tinea?
Yeah, so if you see a tinea pedis, if I understand correctly, on the tissues, between the toes, so where the light can reach, yes, by all means. So you can apply the formula and then shine the light. It will kill the tinea pedis. Yeah.
Is there a separate protocol for that you have set up or recommend?
No, the same protocol. So the only thing that if you have patient with severe tinea pedis, right, and it's at the bottom of the foot, so you cannot apply the formula there. And if it's not treated, it's the same fungus, right? The Trichophyton rubrum will always travel back to the nail. So it's better to treat the tinea pedis first. And you probably know it's relatively much easier to treat that than onychomycosis. But if it's between the toes, so it's the same protocol as the nails. And also I always recommend to apply the formula on the skin around the nail because the assumption is that there is fungus also there.
Can you use colored nail polish between treatments? And if so, do you need to remove the nail polish prior to applying the formula again?
I can answer, but maybe Dr. Carter, you want to answer if patients sometimes ask for this? And what do you say to them?
I don't like treating with toenail polish in between any treatments if you're concerned. Maybe putting like a Dr. Remedies polish on for a certain event or a vacation is fine here and there. But I would say overall, if you're going to invest the time and the energy and the money into this, then polish would definitely not be recommended. And of course, I don't feel like the solution can attach to the fungus if there is a good toenail polish layer in between there.
Yes. And also it's super hard to remove the nail polish between the sessions with the burr.
Yeah.
Can you layer or stack with other topical products like Tolsilin? And what about soaking with products like the Tolsilin soaks?
There is no contraindication, so yes, it's possible.
I tell my patients the more you can throw at this at the exact same time, the better your results are going to be. So I always have them treating with soaks that are usually antifungal and antifungal soap solution for their feet and some kind of topical every single day.
Be mindful that Torselin is good for dermatophytes. So if you are for example, dealing with candida, you should consider a different topical. So just a side note.
How about nail avulsions? Do you see a lot of folks using ToFX post nail avulsion?
Yes,
Is
some.
that safe? Is that okay? Good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's yeah.
We
It's
do. I
really
just want to ask.
invasive, but yes, it's possible.
Okay.
You do that?
Dr. Carter?
Yeah, we do. I didn't know about the interdigital tinea, but I assume that it's a direct route to the fungus at the root of the nail. So I figure it will penetrate much better if there is no nail there.
Yes.
Awesome. Cody, do you have any final thoughts on, metric tracking, any pearls of wisdom that like as you were giving your talk, you're like, oh, I should have included that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I thought of while we were talking was conversion tracking, conversion analysis. I don't know how many doctors I talk to that say they're being super successful with whatever product that we're discussing. I'll say DPMX is one that I just had a conversation with. I'm like, yeah, I do it all the time. I convert on this like no problem at all. And then when we get in and we look at their actual conversions, they're like 10% of the time they're actually converting on this stuff. It's just because they don't know. They feel like the way the patient interacts with you as a provider is they're all head nods and yes, ma'am, yeah, that sounds great. And then when you get down to it, after you walk out that room, all they're thinking is numbers. So it's out the window. They just lost it. So find a way to track your conversion, especially if you are not the one that is actually swiping that credit card for the patient for anything within your practice, even down to the over-the-counter like Mod Pod product that you have on your shelf. If it's not moving, you need some help figuring out how to move it or to get rid of it. Don't keep it in your clinic. The best way to stay successful is to know that you're being successful. You don't know, you can't do anything if you don't know.
Cody has an Excel spreadsheet for everything.
It's true.
I love it. I have a coffee mug that says something about building spreadsheets. Like there's a spreadsheet for that or something like that. And I am infamous for having duplicate spreadsheets of the same thing just because I like to see the data in different ways.
Yep.
I have
I
a
have at least
question.
5 open at one time.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you schedule patients for different treatments, so do you have days or time in the day that you prefer specific treatments or?
Good question. No, I like to keep it as open as we possibly can. I will say we put as much on an ancillary clinic as we possibly can. So we have ToFX on its own ancillary line, so patients have more flexibility in their scheduling. And then we also offer same day treatments as well. So if Dr. Carter dispenses a ToFX treatment while she's in clinic, then we squeeze the patient in. We figure out what we need to figure out. That was the theory behind having 7 lasers at one point was, well, we're going to dispense 7 an hour, so let's do it. And I said, well, you don't see 7 patients an hour, so it's silly. But having that versatility for the patient goes a very long way. They wanted it at their ease. We live in a service industry nowadays, so bring it to them as much as you can.
Yeah. Well, I think this was great and you've answered all the questions and I see some chats and those were answered questions as well. I do see a comment about no nail polish for a few months is a hard sell. And yeah, I can see how that would be a hard sell, but would they rather have fungus?
Yes.
Exactly. An
All
investment
right.
into their treatment.
Where can we see you guys on the road? Where is ToFX going to be? Where is Mod Pod going to be? Do you have any shows coming up?
Dr. Van Ham, go first.
We are going in 2 days to the DF-Con in Anaheim, California. And then we will be in the NY 26 and then at SAMS.
Awesome.
and more, but yeah.
Toe Tactics / Mod Pod will be at SAM in January. We're putting on half a day of lecture actually at SAM this year. So definitely come check us out and learn all the cool practice management stuff.
Awesome. Good. Well, thank you guys for presenting. Thanks for taking your time. Thank you for sponsoring this webinar. I think it was great. We had a lot of good questions, a lot of good interaction. So thanks everybody for being here with us on your Monday night. And we will see you again next week with a webinar from Amex Podiatry with the topic to be determined. Actually, I know what the topic is, but we haven't announced it yet. So I will see you all next week. And if you have any questions for our team, you can email them or you can email me and I'll forward it along. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.